Great. Welcome, everybody, and welcome to JD, co-founder of Polygon. My name is Jaynti Kanani, and I'll be asking JD a few questions here about Polygon and Ethereum scaling for the next billion users, as the topic of our session is.
Thanks, Alice. Yeah.
Thanks, JD.
Thanks for having me.
No, it's great to be here with the SCB team. So I'll just quickly introduce myself, and then we'll hand it over to JD for a quick intro and jump into things. I'm part of the investment team here at Sequoia, based in Bangalore, focused largely on Web3. We've been quite active in the space, and amongst the few investments we've made, we co-led a growth round in Polygon late last year, and very excited about the progress that they've made. Maybe, JD, if you could just quickly introduce yourself and then also introduce a little bit about Polygon and what the vision and goal of Polygon has been.
Sure. So hi, everyone. Jaynti Kanani this side, co-founder of Polygon. We started Polygon in 2017, raised a bunch of money to scale Ethereum. At the time, Ethereum was very costly. Still now, and it is very hard to make a transaction on Ethereum. It takes like 1 to 2 minutes to confirm the transaction, and sometimes it takes $100 for each transaction. So our goal was to scale blockchain, particularly Ethereum, because Ethereum has a community. Ethereum has ecosystem right there. So we want to leverage the community and the people ecosystem. So we started scaling Ethereum itself. We launched our mainnet in 2019, and it was a huge success. So far, we have seen like 25,000 applications building on Polygon. We are making 5 to 7 million transactions per day. If you consider number of applications, big applications, it includes Facebook, Stripe, Instagram, and multiple others. We are one of the biggest NFT platform in the world. For example, if you pick any NFT project, big NFT projects in the wild, and 95% chances are there, they are on Polygon. So we are huge, and people even don't know about that. Even if they are making a transaction on Polygon, they wouldn't know. So that was our vision. That was our goal, that people shouldn't care about like what kind of technology they are using underneath. They just care about like how making a transactions using the platform, for example, for NFTs or transactions. So that's what we do at Polygon. I just want to kind of shill our new product called ZKVM, which we launched yesterday. With ZKVM, it is like, people who don't know about the ZK is a new technology which is heavily relied on mathematics and cryptography, and you can always say with that technology that you have data without revealing any data, and we are using that technology to scale blockchain further, which is very that technology is very secure. And once it kind of says, okay, this transaction is valid or not, using the mathematics and cryptography on Ethereum contract, and there is no other action needed for the security. So very secure. We are going to launch. We have launched it in ZKVM. We are going to go production in very soon, in next few days. So yeah, that's what we do at Polygon.
Great, that's a great intro. So one thing, JD, and Polygon has been very good at bringing in new folks to Web3, both users and new partners like Web2 companies. You mentioned a few: Stripe, Instagram, I think Reddit, and others, and Twitter also have announced partnerships. Can you just talk about how you guys have gone about those partnerships? What has made them choose you? What value proposition have you offered them? Just what has that been like?
Yeah, so there are multiple points. Okay, so first of all, if you think about Ethereum versus or blockchain in general in the space, if you are building on Ethereum, if you deploy your contracts on Ethereum, it is very easy to port them on Polygon, right? You just change your URL, deploy just same bunch of contracts on Polygon, and that's it. Like you are done. That's the first thing. Like very easy for developers to just move from Ethereum to Polygon. Polygon also provides. Second part is Polygon also provides inbuilt bridge. When I say inbuilt bridge is that it doesn't rely on third party to move your asset from Ethereum chain to Polygon chain. So for example, if you mint your NFT on Polygon and if you want to move that from Polygon to Ethereum, you just use like internal mechanism of Polygon to move that, and very easy to do that. It's just a one smart contract call and it does that for you. So that thing is very, very important for big companies like Stripe or Twitter, because they're also going to use Ethereum to start with and then kind of go into other blockchains. So what will happen is that this kind of integrate the bridge directly into the platform. So the users will just kind of move the assets from Ethereum to Polygon very easily, right? For example, NFTs. Sometimes they mint on Polygon, bunch of NFTs on Polygon, and then move. If user want, they can just move to Ethereum using the bridge. So it's very easy for them to just integrate with us. The third part is that ecosystem, right? For example, if you mint your NFTs in a platform where just you or as a dApp on the platform, it is not useful for your users, right? They want platforms like OpenSea. They want platforms like the lending protocol where they can just use their NFTs as a kind of as a loan and take the money out of that. So the whole composability is also very important for people who kind of want to play around with other dApps, use other dApps as part of their own applications, right? And people and the big applications like Twitter, Reddit, they also want to have like their own space. Sometimes they want their own space for transactions. They don't want to kind of mess up with the other people's transactions and increase the fees for the whole platform. So we also provide a platform called Supernet. So people can just use that to span up their own chain on demand, right? So if you're anticipating your transaction volume is too high to be handled by any chain, so Ethereum or Polygon and any other chains, they can kind of just start using their own chain, their own set of validator set. So it's very, very flexible in that way. So people can just choose what they want to use to scale their own applications. So I think those kind of major factors you can see as part of moving towards Polygon.
Makes a lot of sense. And just to double click both on the consumer apps as well as some of the enterprise stuff, the supernets that you just touched upon, you have two sort of different groups, Polygon Studios and Polygon Enterprise, like separate divisions within Polygon. Just reasons for splitting these up. How do they operate differently? What do you need to do to engage with either one of these?
Yeah, so we have two separate teams because the target audience, target market is different, right? And if you think about enterprises, few people want to understand like how enterprises work, what they need. Their sales cycles are quite like larger than normal startup you would sense, right? So yep. There you need a different expertise of people who can understand the what enterprises want, and the other way around, like if you think about the startups, they want to move fast, right? So for example, we were talking about a bunch of new ex-founder, like they were great entrepreneurs in the past, and they're now starting a Web3 products. For them, speed is everything, right? So our team is designed such a way that they can just go ahead. If they need a grant, they just kind of issue the grant quickly. They can help them, advise them, because they don't have any kind of capacities like enterprise do. So here we provide advice, marketing support, BD support as well for their applications if they are kind of infrastructure product on Polygon. We also connect them with the multiple VCs around the globe, like yourself, where they can raise the money from. So those kind of supports we provide from the studio itself. Apart from that studio, also Ryan White, basically coming from the CEO of Polygon Studio, is coming from the YouTube gaming division, and he understands gaming very well. So how gaming studio works, how they kind of create the game, what they need end to end, he understands very well. So his team also inherit his sense of capabilities of how to deal with the gaming studios, how to bring like big brands into the Polygon. So that's why we kind of separated two things just to focus on and move faster on the both side. If we kind of if you have like the same people in the one team, sometimes you lose some fast mover startups,
Yep.
and sometimes you lose enterprises. So it's very hard to do that. That's just, it's good to separate them. Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. You touched upon this, that you also give grants and you also have an ecosystem fund to help early stage
Yes.
startups. What's the criteria that you're looking for the startups that you fund, and what's some of the stuff that you help them with?
Yeah. So it depends on startup to startup. So our goal, first of all, like, our main restriction for startups we fund is to build on Polygon, first of all, because it's a Polygon ecosystem fund. The second part is that sometimes you see like 10 kind of different applications, like people are just, for example, a few days back, like there was an NFT on the raise, like everyone was getting the NFTs, but choosing which projects might help the whole ecosystem per se, it is very hard, and we choose those people, those teams, and fund them, right? So and we also kind of bet on multiple things. For example, sometimes VCs don't invest in competitors, or sometimes it kind of it depends on investor to investors. We don't do that. We kind of invest for the ecosystem, for the Polygon. So we, for example, hedge our bets also through our ecosystem fund, where we can fund like multiple, for example, DeFi lending protocol, take example of that, right? We fund like, we have funded like multiple, or provided grant, or provided mining rewards for multiple lending borrowing protocols throughout our history of Polygon grants, right? So our major goal is to bring them on Polygon and increase their user base. That is our goal for our grants and for our fund.
Gotcha. If you were to look at Web3 today, what are the top 3 challenges you see in Web3 today that are preventing scale adoption of like what's the challenge to not get to the next billion users? You spoke a little bit about the ZK EVM and scaling Ethereum in the beginning, but what else? And certainly not like that is solved, but what would you put up there?
Yeah, so I have talked with many people about that. So first of all, like I always see 3 kind of problems. So one is a scalability. Of course, like if you cannot scale the blockchain, you not going to bring like killer app on your applications on a platform, right? So this is a major point for us, and that's what we are trying to solve, right? Scalability. Yep. The second part, in general, if you think about the DeFi or NFTs or the Web3 ecosystem, is liquidity, right? So for example, DeFi in 2020 or 2021, when DeFi was on rise, the major point was to kind of there was a more of liquidity move from somewhere else to DeFi, and people started kind of funding the more protocols, providing the liquidity to more protocols, and then the user came. And due to that, NFT came, and then people started moving those funds onto NFTs, and NFT went kind of to berserk, right? So major challenge for Web3 is to move fund from non-Web3 to Web3. We need more liquidity. We don't have enough liquidity in DeFi protocol in general. I would say like the major challenge would be to somehow manage to move that liquidity to Web3. And the third thing is that finding kind of creating the killer apps. But if you don't solve these first 2 things, you might not experience, even if it's a killer app, but you wouldn't enter in a killer mode. So I would kind of go ahead and kind of try to solve like maybe scalability and the liquidity to start with on the platform side, and then kind of focus on the killer apps. But yeah, I mean, people can try on the three of them simultaneously, I would say. But still, like these are the three major points I would say we should try to solve. Yeah.
Yeah. If I was going to add one to that, I would add usability. I think Web3
Yes.
is some great tech, but super hard for normal people to use.
Definitely. So yeah, so if you want to build killer app, then obviously you need usability in a way. So yeah, so and also like usability won't get solved until you have scalability or more users or liquidity on the DeFi side. For example, DeFi just wanted to build something just to kind of get liquidity, because now everyone was fighting for the liquidity, so they weren't focusing on the usability. So definitely usability is a major one more major task for Web3.
Yeah, in some ways, like we think that the big event that everyone is waiting for this year is the Ethereum Merge, and that seems to be a very important moment for the industry. But I think what will actually be a more important moment will be Instagram launching NFTs on Polygon and a couple of other platforms. That will bring more to do Web3 to mainstream users in terms of an actual application than even the merge. The merge is kind of like an infrastructure event and is great for lots of different reasons. But it doesn't really change the usability or the applicability of Web3 for more stuff immediately.
Yeah, people.
I would love to get your take on that.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. So people always talk more about like Ethereum Merge and everything. People are not talking about the Instagram launching NFTs, which is very huge. Twitter launching some crypto transactions, which is kind of very huge. People always try to focus on users, but nowadays, like it seems like people just focusing on the events of Ethereum itself. So I think, yeah, definitely. I think, to be honest, like NFT moved many people to crypto than DeFi or infrastructure ever could, right? Which is huge.
Yeah. So can you just talk a little bit about Polygon's NFT proposition? You touched upon it earlier, but like any numbers you can share, what the future might look like for your NFT roadmap? What do you think some of the barriers are to NFT adoption? Just your guys' approach on this important space.
Yeah. So in terms of number of applications building on NFTs and everything, I would say like I don't have a number on the number of NFTs on Polygon, because it's very like I cannot find those numbers. It's very hard to do that. But I would say, like, if you think about the portfolio companies of ours and the number of applications we are building on us, I would say 70% are on like on NFT or gaming side on Polygon, which is huge. So yeah, and on the value proposition side, like the whole Polygon studio itself is focusing on NFTs and gaming itself, right? So think about like Reddit, Instagram, Twitter might also have like NFTs in the future. I'm not sure, but I would assume that it would, because if people just started using NFTs more. So those big applications are also handled by Polygon Studio directly, and which are kind of very important for us as Polygon for as a big brand. Apart from that, we have big brands, Dolce & Gabbana and multiple other fashion brands are creating NFTs on Polygon. We have also one major brand which I cannot reveal right now, also creating the rewards points and NFTs on Polygon. So once it's there, like everyone might have used it somewhere in their life.
Very excited to figure out what that is.
Yeah. So there are very many other brands on NFTs on Polygon. So yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like 90. So if you're using NFTs, or if you heard about an NFT project somehow, 95% of chances they are being on Polygon.
Great. relevant, particularly in Asia, a number of projects on the Terra Luna blockchain moved to Polygon recently. Can you just describe what sort of gaps those might fill in the Polygon ecosystem, how hard it was for them, and just what you expect from those groups of apps?
So obviously Terra wasn't on EVM, so it might take some time for them to move on Polygon.
Yep.
But we have seen like a very kind of very smart people was building on Terra before, and we are grateful that they are moving on Polygon. To be honest, and we are seeing like there are kind of different kind of projects. For example, Shredder Labs, they were doing liquidity on staking, right?
Yep.
They have moved to other platforms as well for Polygon, which is very huge for Polygon itself, where you can stake and then users can create a liquidity out of that. And then, for example, Lido is doing something similar for ETH, stake ETH, right? Staking ETH. Similar, they were doing for Polygon staking itself, and that protocol are now deployed on all the supernets. So, for example, if you are spinning your own chain using the supernets, you can also provide liquidity for your stakers on your platform. So similar, we have like major games which were on Terra. Terra are now moving to Polygon. So yeah, I mean, it is in the end, like it is going to increase the number of transactions on Polygon users, daily users on Polygon. So it's a win for the whole Polygon and the ecosystem.
Gotcha. Okay. Can you just talk a little bit more about, like, in the last few days, you guys announced ZK EVM, and a few other people also announced similar things. Layer 2 in Ethereum looks like it's getting fairly competitive. There's also been a lot of noise from alt L1s around the same time, and even the last few months, there's been some very large rounds in startup L1s. What do you think about this sort of multi-chain world? Do you think that L2s are best positioned, or will one of these new L1s will come? Will L2s be a winner takes most, or will there be many different L2s? Just your view of what industry structure might look like in this blockchain infra space.
Yeah, so from my personal perspective, if you think about any blockchain, right? Blockchain which are claiming to have like millions of transactions per second or anything else, right? Everyone will need multi-chain. Why? Because there is no way you can support the whole transaction on one chain. Either and then you say, okay, we don't have to put any transaction on the blockchain. You can do some transaction outside of the blockchain and settle on the main blockchain, right? Which is L2, right? Essentially, you are saying it's same thing as we are saying, right? Either you make every transaction on one chain, or which is not possible due to multiple reasons. Is simple problem of computer engineering, right? Where your state growth will increase. Even if you provide separate your data and state, it will face the same problems, because now like you need to find where is this data, and it is very hard. So at the end, you are doing your transaction somewhere else and settling on some other platform, right? And that's is essential L2. And in the L2 is also the same problem. Like you cannot put everything on one chain because it faces the same issue as the L1. So you now break your L2 in different chains. So it's essentially like you're saying like each applications are verifying their own transactions and settling on the main blockchain, which is L2. What we are saying is that whatever applications are verifying, you use ZK for that, ZK EVM for that. So even there is one guy verifying the transaction, it is secure. Like you can always assume that it is they have verified it correctly. And that's the point of zk, right? Even if one application by themselves creating the transaction, like taking the transaction, creating the block, verifying it using zk, putting on the Ethereum chain, you will be 100% sure that it is secure. So that's what we think, like, this is how it is going, like, multi-chain world. So we are not thinking about L1 L2, we are thinking about this line, this line of thought, like how it would evolve based on the limitations of the blockchain itself. So now, like, you have multi-chain, multi L2s, or whatever you can call it, multi-chain on with settlement layer, new problem will come. So even if people have figured out this, like L2, creating the L2s, like we have our competitors did, but now the problem starts from there, right? Now, like, if you want to, like, we all started using blockchain due to composability, right? If you lose the composability, if you cannot use each other protocol
Absolutely.
at the core level, then there is no point to using the blockchain at all. So now what the major problem which we're going to solve is that how do we kind of provide a better layer between those multi-chain, so people can just use the different state on the each chain without kind of going hopping from one chain to another chain, or transferring tokens from one chain to another. It's very hard.
Yeah.
So people have lost more money by sending a wrong transaction on the wrong network.
Yes.
Right, right transaction on the wrong network. So
yes,
I have kind of got so many emails saying, okay, this is the right address, but I've sent on the wrong chain. So this usability is very important to solve there. So we are going to kind of taking step by step, where we start with the multi-chain zk EVM, where even there is a one creator creating the blocks, it is secure, and then going from there to solving this multi-chain world, usability for the developers, and using those things, right? So that's what the natural kind of order is for us.
Gotcha. Maybe time for one last question. The market has seen a big drop in crypto prices, and just the crypto winter, as it's called, seems to be upon us. How does this change things for you guys? And what advice would you have to anyone who might be experiencing this for the first time?
Yeah, so for us, like, we have seen this before as well. So we were in 2019 same market. So for us, it's not new. And we have, like, we raised recent funding, as from you guys also. So we are pretty good there. And as a platform, we don't care about the market, to be honest. We just kept building and building, which we did in last market as well, bear market, and we are doing the same thing here. We are keep supporting good applications. We are keep launching, which we launched yesterday, group products. So for us, it doesn't matter, but for other people who are building on this thing, let's just keep going, just survive. I think this should be the goal, however you can. And I think in the bull market, everything should be fine. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, JD. Super nice talking to you.
Yeah.
Great conversation, and hope to see you soon.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Thank you.